Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Welcome to Wellspring. My name is Judy Bethman. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Trustees, and I'm a part of your Sunday, March 20th, 222 service team. We have a few announcements. The early birds meet Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom. The link is in the weekly email and on the website. Upcoming speakers. Next week, Reverend Bram Watkin will be, is it Watkins or Watkin?
Watkins.
Oh, with an S, okay. Did I have an S up there? Oh, good. Reverend Bram Watkins will be here. And then the first Sunday in April, Dr. Edward Burlbaw will speak. And the second Sunday in April will be a video, How I Found God at a McDonald's. And lastly, our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoons at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. All right, let's take a deep breath in and release as we invoke the Great Spirit to come into this hallowed place and be part of this service. We already know that Spirit is all around us and with us every second. But I think Spirit would smile a little as we invite Spirit to this sacred place. We know that we are guided and pointed in the direction of our life's path. We thank this Great Spirit, and we thank everyone sitting in this sacred place and out in the sacred part of Zoomland to come and be a part of this great service. I release this, and we say, and so it is. Please stand up if you're able and sing the song of joy. Thank you. You may be seated. And let us read our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. Our affirmation: in this month of March, I affirm for myself and for Wellspring a vibrant blossoming of faith. I know we are a center of healing, light, and love. We connect with the community and support each other to expand into our best and highest good. The fruits of our faith are bountiful and beautiful. All right, and it's my great privilege to call Doug Adams for his first number.
That one is called Pine Cone Scramble. It's never been recorded. It will be.
He said that was called Pine Cone Scramble. All right. Oops. Well, Edward gave me a real challenge to find a reading for his topic. His topic is the Clarion Call. Now, the first thing I thought about was the Bible verse, "Go ye into all the world and spread my message to every creature." And then I thought, because of the times we're living in, "Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace." But I found living the science of mind, how to create a spiritual chain reaction. Okay? No one lives entirely by himself. We are all individual parts of humanity, and whether or not we realize it, each is influencing those around him, and each in his turn is being influenced by others. No doubt the thoughts and opinions and actions of the whole world finally are based on what everybody thinks and believes. And then it goes on to talk about the chain reaction and the atomic bomb, and we all know that because Trinity site is only 60 miles away. So I'm jumping about 4 paragraphs here. It appears that nature has placed before us the possibility of the greatest blessing of the world and has had or wrongly used the greatest destruction. And so modern scientists are telling us that before we go any farther in uncovering and utilizing the energies of nature, we better stop, look, and listen, and be certain that every new advance in science is used for the betterment of humanity and not its destruction. We happen to know another kind of energy, which we feel is even more important than the physical energy created through the explosion of the atom. It is the energy of faith, of affirmative prayer, and spiritual meditation. There is no reason to doubt that in the field of spiritual consciousness, a chain reaction could be created which would bless the whole world. And since the world finally acts the way it thinks, should a majority of people come to believe in spiritual power and the benefits that can be obtained by it, they would all have a great desire to try a new kind of experiment, one that would bless instead of curse humanity. I did good, didn't I?
Well, Judy, good job. Good job. So I kind of amended the title of my talk. It says, Dog Walking in the New Age. But just kidding. It's Answer the Clarion Call. And of course, we all know what a clarion is. But if you don't, we have several musicians here who will tell you that a clarion is a trumpet. But I'm using it more in the spiritual definition, perhaps. But I want to start out with speaking about something. The other day I heard, for the umpty-umpth time, something that we are living, or we are here on purpose with a purpose, right? We've heard that many times. And I think these 5 words contain so much of what we believe in about where we are right now in our consciousness. So I just say that we choose to come to Earth School at this time in the evolution of the world and humankind, and that we know none of us here is here by accident, as we say, the right place, the right time. And also this with a purpose. You have a reason for being here. In a more proactive phrasing, I'll say we are very specifically, we are bringing to this planet something that no other person can bring. We are a unique expression of God or Spirit with unique talents that are necessary right now, right where you and I am. So I can't emphasize this enough. We are the beloveds whose presence is required at the very instant we chose to be here. And I made up a catchy little thing that I said, your presence in the present is a present to the universe. So our goal then is to be a little more aware and a little more intentional about what it is we're up to. And imagine if every grain of sand on the beach were to say, I'm just an insignificant grain of sand. I don't make a difference to this beautiful beach. I'll just jump in the ocean and be swept out to sea. No one will notice I'm gone. That is, if every grain of sand said that, there would no longer be a beach, obviously. So I'm going to say that the mere fact that you're here today, listening to this and participating in this service, participating in Wellspring in a general sense as well, is evidence that you belong here. That's kind of a duh statement, but it's true. And we know that those who write about reincarnation and pre-life planning also say that groups of souls often tend to incarnate together at the same time and work together lifetime after lifetime. So think about that a little bit. Have you ever thought about how you got here? I mean, you can think of it, first of all, in sort of the physical sense, your career, how you got here. Many times that's rather important because you followed a job to another job or something and it caused you to relocate, so on and so forth. So did that seem accidental to you, or did it seem like you did this with intention? There was an old story about this guy says, well, how come did you become a plumber? And the fellow responding said, well, when I got out of the service, the plumber down the street needed an assistant, and I needed a job. So here I am, I'm a plumber. Now, I tend to look at my life journey a little bit like that. And I'm going to use the word accidental in quotes because we know there are no accidents. But it seemed like a sort of a string of accidents or accidental events. Accidental events is better. We're just strung together, and here I am. I grew up outside of Albuquerque, and our family knew that we were going to go to college. There was no question, son, you're going to college kind of thing. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I might want to do something that my dad did. He was an electronics engineer, so I thought, well, I'll do that. And I started looking at colleges, and he was talking to somebody at work and said, oh, there's this really neat school down in Socorro. It's called New Mexico Tech. It's kind of a hidden secret in New Mexico. Oh, wow. And so I went down there on a visit, and I said, well, I want to be an electronics or electrical engineer. And they said, well, we don't have that degree, but we have something that's kind of like it. It's called physics with an electronics option. I said, well, I guess that's okay. And so what about work study or anything like that? He said, oh, we've got a co-op program. You can start working in the lab right away and da-da-da, and it'll pay for your way. And I said, I'm sold, but I did not seek it out other than wanting to know what my career was, sort of like. And I always wished I'd taken one of those tests that told me what I should be, Seemed like everybody else was taking them. They told them doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, or whatever. But I was like, I missed that. At any rate, so I went to Socorro, and lo and behold, I met a fellow there who introduced me to metaphysics. And maybe they say the rest is history, but how did I get to Las Cruces? Well, all my friends were moving to Las Cruces. It's not like I said, well, I'm tired of Socorro. I think I'll find another place to live. No, they're moving. Okay. Well, let's go see if I can get into grad school. So I go do that, and and we have teaching assistants, so you can pay for grad school. Sold. I'm in, kind of thing. And I have to say, it just seemed like a bunch of accidental things that strung together and brought me here. And I can go into a little further into that, but I guess I'd say when I look back, it was more like I was responding rather than planning my journey. Or we could say it, if we wanted to sound a little more profound, that I was taking the next clear step. However it was brought to my attention. Oh, okay, I'll do that. Sometimes I find myself in a situation that I call feeling like I need to solve the rest of my life today. You know, you're facing something, you go, oh man, and then this, and then that. It's like, stop, hold it, hold it. And I think Eckhart Tolle would tell you, you just be here in the now, in the presence. You know, and then when I looked for a job, I had an interview, and the person said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I had another interview coming up, and I thought, well, shoot, well, I hope I don't like that other job because I think I'd like this one. I mean, it's like, come on, Edward, in spite of my best efforts, you know, I arrived here, I guess. At any rate, now let's talk a little bit more about our spiritual journey. Because sometimes I think our spiritual journey might be a little bit like my career journey. You know, yeah, for a career, I went and I met a friend, and then this, and then that, and then that. And, you know, you say, well, how'd you get into Wellspring? It's like, well, I lived up the street from Sam and Nancy Ritchie. And I'd heard they were starting a church and whatever, you know, and then I said, well, I think I'll go see what it's about. And the rest is history. You know, I've been here ever since. But maybe an accident, maybe divine intervention, right? So I started reading a book by Sylvia Browne. It's called The Mystical Traveler. And she has a number of stages here, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I kind of like a little simpler version of it. Let's put it that way. So the first step in our spiritual journey is what we've called in the past divine discontent. You know, that's kind of what causes us to grow. And it's kind of like we know that there's more to us or more to our spiritual life than what we're expressing at this moment. And I know several of you have grown up Catholic, as I have. And maybe we didn't put words on it, but something was missing from what we were seeking. We felt something was missing. And that's kind of that spiritual discontent. But again, I don't know if you did, but I certainly didn't sit down one day and say, oh yeah, okay, something is missing from my life, my spiritual life, and I need to do something about it. No, it's just like it sort of flowed. But then I know some folks have said that I had something inside of me that was calling me to something greater, more than what I have or more than what I seem to be. And so rather than think of it as a burden, let's think of it in a more positive sense, that there's this inner urge to contribute, or that you have gifts that are unshared. And again, like I say, we might not have identified that as a step, but in a sense, we did reach that point. And so then we decided to somehow or another, we chose to begin to allow this urge to surface. We began to look more consciously maybe than the first step for something else. And that kind of brings it to our conscious mind. And we might not even have truly understood what it was we were choosing. We just knew that we were choosing different or other. Or someone is calling, or something is calling, and I accept its call. And that's the clarion call part of this. And again, on a more secular level, I know folks who are teachers and counselors and various things, and they said, you know, well, when did you know you wanted to be a teacher? I don't know. I just knew from before I understood. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. Or I was like, I wanted to be a fireman. I'm going to be a fireman. You know, and the fire trucks were, you know, whatever. You know, we all had this from our past. And I know there's musicians, there's teachers, there's engineers, there's dancers. I've always wanted to dance, you know, these different things. And probably all of you recall when you made that choice as to what your career was going to be. Do you recall when you made that choice to be more active in your spiritual path? Well, now that we've kind of understood there was something missing and we've decided to go for it, if you will, step 3 is where the worrying starts, perhaps. What have I signed up for? Maybe our doubt starts, but likely it's the physical human that gets involved. Oh, is this too big for me? You could think of this for, students or teachers, engineers, or whatever. Oh my gosh, how am I ever going to know enough to teach students or what have you? Here's one we suffer from. Am I enough for that? Am I enough? How will I do it? Especially when it comes to like your vocation or your avocation. I'm so busy, I'm limited, I'm just one person. Oh, and if I do that, what am I going to have to give up? I have some hobbies I really like. I might have to give those up if I want to find time in my life for something else. And some folks I want to go to seminary. Well, I've got to leave my friends or what have you. If I want to be spiritual, does that mean I have to move to Tibet and become a monk? Does it mean I have to be celibate? Does it mean I have to give up all earthly goods? Take this vow of poverty? Does it mean I might have to give up my ego? Perhaps. But probably some portion of that means you're giving up the known for the unknown. You may have an inkling about what you're choosing and what you're heading toward, but you might not have a firm grasp on what it is, at least intellectually. So how do we motivate ourselves to keep moving during that time? And maybe one way we can put this is, would you rather have what you have now or something that makes you feel so good about yourself that you are in near ecstasy? When you recognize that magnificent being inside, it brings something that's hard to describe. Can you give up the thing or feeling that you like the most, knowing that you'll have twice as much? It's kind of tough. So in a sense, we're pretty sure we want to do this. We're really kind of going to do it, but we're on the fence a little bit, right? It's like, well, okay. So that brings us to the 4th step. And that's called surrendering or accepting. At that point, your intention sort of becomes set in stone. As Nike would say, just do it. You're going to go for it. All argument is set aside. You couldn't convince me to do otherwise. I'm in it for the long term. I'm committed to it. Amen. So be it. I will do it no matter what it takes. At that point, I think you could say we begin to accept, or we do accept, our divine mission. Sense of peace comes over us. You have this feeling that I'm not in charge. Spirit's in charge. There over the last several years, there's been so many instances that I just have an internal chuckle over. That, from the simple of at the beginning, who are we going to have speak next Sunday? And then I get a call from somebody that says, oh, well, this guy likes to go talk. Give him a call and see. And that was years ago. Some of you may remember Greg. But he said, oh, yeah, he's in Albuquerque. He said, I'll come down and talk. It's like, oh, my gosh. That was like on a Wednesday, for the fall, not the immediate Sunday, but it's the kind of things. So I personally have just had to understand that Spirit is operating here at Wellspring. Just chill it, Edward. You know, and we see this too when we get the music and the reading and the talk, and you go, I could have done it better if I'd picked it myself. So we did our visioning, our community visioning a few weeks ago. And when some of the vision that I saw was of what we were calling our Rio Grande Valley New Thought Alliance, which is still evolving, but we're talking about having the New Thought centers from Santa Fe to Las Cruces get in an alliance. And you know how visioning is. You kind of get this idea and then you go, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to do that? And then the next thing that came to mind is, how did I put this? If it's Spirit's will, then the resources will be there. I thought, oh, okay, again, as Eckhart Tolle is saying, it's not that we're giving up, we're surrendering. It's a little different. So I just have to surrender because that wasn't my vision. It was my interpretation of what I was getting from Spirit. And I guess we've always said we were fully supported by Spirit, and that's more than just me and you. It's the whole community and everything. What would God or Spirit like better than to have more folks praising, if you will? And then part of this surrendering or accepting is that we have a gift to give, or we are a gift to give. And sometimes just our presence is all it takes to make a difference. So if this clarion call is different for all of us. So I don't know what it looks like for you. And I'm still trying to figure out what it looks like for me. But it can be as simple for some as I want to extend love. Or I want to live in joy and gratitude instead of fear. And we say when you're talking about an affirmation that you want to cast it in the positive, right? And I say, speaking of fear, there's lots of opportunities these days for us to just get down there and wallow in fear. If you read the news or listen to the news, there could be shortages of fuel and food. And there's a new COVID variant out there. So the boogeyman is still alive and well in COVID land. And we've got the war in Ukraine going on. Oh my gosh. Well, I thought it was interesting today in the Power of Now book. One of the things we talked about is to remain in the consciousness of the now. I think the wording was, you don't give something else time. You don't give them a time slice in your brain, if you want to call it that. So I say, of course, we don't have to give our attention and energy to any of those. If we want to sit in our quiet space and feel the presence, the support, and the abundance of God, that does make a difference. God's will for us is good health, safety, and abundance. I'm not a great Bible scholar, but I think there was something somewhere it says, though I walk through the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil. So let's put that cloak of the divine around ourselves and know that we don't have to participate in every fearful, tragic thing that goes on. We kind of probably all imagine world peace someday being a reality. I don't think we're going to realize that by hatred and condemnation of others. Quoting someone else, we want to be the peace we want to see. Well, if you don't think you're doing enough, and that's rather common, Edwin Osgood Grover said he wrote a poem sort of based on the question, how can I make a difference? I'm only one person. This poem goes thus: I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. One person, one consciousness can make a difference. If nothing else, you help to thin the veil that someone else may see through it. Because we'd been talking about this the other day, I decided to look up what I'm going to talk about. And I'd say this is talking about more of the secular side of things, but it's also true for the spiritual setting. And that is some research that is done on just how few it takes to make a change. Erica Chenoweth was a political scientist at Harvard University. First of all, she says that civil disobedience is not only the moral choice, it is also the most powerful way of shaping world politics by a long way. And she says she's looked at campaigns for change over the last century. She found that nonviolent campaigns are twice as likely to achieve the goals as violent campaigns. And although the exact dynamics of change depend on many factors, she's shown that it takes about 3.5% of the population actively participating in the protest to ensure more serious political change. So if you want peace, it only takes 3.5% of the population to know peace. And again, that's a political context, but I think it should be encouraging us that many, many small contributions on the part of a very few number of people, really, can be world-changing. We don't have to be marching in the streets, but we can still make a difference by changing our consciousness and how we look at this world of illusion that we call Earth School. So I know this is true for myself and for you, that we're being asked to hold the high watch for the world right now. We then can ask, are we going to answer the clarion call and make this a better universe? I think yes. And so it is. Well, now let's take a moment for our prayer. But I do know that amongst our community, we have folks who are dealing with life and death challenges. We have folks that are dealing with friends and family who are going through some challenges. So each of you that may recognize a need in yourself to allow the goodness of Spirit to flow through you, just take that moment to let that. Let that build from your heart out. Every member here in the sanctuary, here on Zoom, is coming from a perspective of love for fellow humans, love for other members of our immediate community. And don't forget, love for yourself. So we know and affirm and accept that Spirit is around us all. The strength, the joy, the love, the understanding of Spirit is here, around us and within us. Each of us touches that to the extent that we are able. And I say in this community right here, right now, that as each of us have been opening our hearts, it allows every other one of us to touch a little more deeply. Particular, touch the peace. No matter what is going on in the world of illusion outside of us, we know that within us, peace is prevailing. We take a moment to breathe in the magnificence, and breathe out concerns. Those concerns will all look different after this moment. We give thanks. Give thanks that we have this community, we have this philosophy, we have this understanding about how Spirit works in our lives and in the lives of others. We're grateful for that. We also know that it's not our job to solve the world. We just have to do our part. And doing our part, that helps solve the world. But it is God's job. So we release it into that knowing, into that love, into that law. We release it, let it go, just knowing that it's being taken care of at a much higher level. And so it is. Now looks like we have 2 musicians for this piece. That's fantastic.
Yes, Barry has agreed to help me out on this next song. I want to thank everybody for continuing to invite me to play for this community. I think in a way, it's bringing out the best of what I do in a way. And once again, accidents have made my song choice this afternoon just completely dovetail with everything you were talking about today. It was all a coincidence. Last time I was here, somebody gave me a little piece of paper with the image of a heart on it, and right in the center of the heart was the word love. And well, I know my job here on this earth is to try to embody, well, to be aware that I'm a being of light, a being of energy, and that those are just other words for love. And I feel like I'm making progress. I feel like I'm becoming more loving to myself, to the people around me, to all people and all creatures and the earth itself and this whole universe we're spinning through. I'm making progress. But sometimes things happen, as you were just saying, on a global level that make me feel just utterly small and useless when I witness the barbarity and cruelty that people can do to each other. And it feels like all the love I can summon up isn't even a drop in the ocean or a grain of sand on the beach. And but then my eye fell on the word right below love on the little piece of paper and the little heart, and that word was community. And it reminded me of the song I wrote at another time when it felt like the forces of ignorance were just gonna overwhelm us. And it's called The Compass. Oh, and one other funny thing about when I was practicing the song for today, I don't know why, Clarion, I don't know why, but every time I came to the word compass, I wanted to sing trumpet. I don't know, that'll have to be another song. Ready, Barry? 1, 2, 3. We've got to stand strong. We've got to stay together. Steel our nerves when we're facing rough weather. When the road is dark ahead, don't forget to bring your light. Keep safe the compass to guide us through the night. Where are we gonna go? What are we gonna do? You don't have to go alone. I'll stay with you. It's a steep and stony trail to where we wanna be. I'll keep a hiking just as high as I can, and you can come with me. We struggled for so long. The struggle never ends. For something so simple, to treat your neighbors like your friends. Clear, sweet water and a clean blue sky. Food for all at the table, a safe place to lie. That's where we wanna go. That's who we wanna be. Scoffers say that it's a weak ideal, a fantasy. How can you ever know if you don't try? Find me hiking up that steep stone trail to that clear blue sky. We've got to stand strong, got to stay together, steel our nerves when we're facing rough weather, when the road is dark ahead. Bring your own light. Keep safe the trumpet to guide us through the night.
Thank you. I had a week of rough weather, and I had friends that supported me and got me through that rough weather. So, thank you for that. All right. We acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts. We give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both parts of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know they are multiplied throughout our community. There are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of the service. We are grateful for their service, and we thank you out there in Zoom land and here in the sanctuary for joining us today. And lastly, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service to join us in the social hall. But I think we need to sing happy birthday to Flo, who turned 97 on Thursday. Okay. Happy, well, let's say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Flo. Happy birthday to you. 97 and growing strong. Okay, please stand and read the benediction with me, and followed by our congregational song.